Let's go! Our final evaluation of Lance Heard is here, and obviously we've already done Shelton Sampson earlier this week, and today we're going to talk about the guy that was on our channel just a few weeks ago at the Shreveport Arklatex Card Show. So make sure you go check out our interview. We absolutely love Lance Heard as a person here on PHL, but now we're going to talk about him as a player, and it is such an interesting evaluation for quite a few reasons. So comment down below, do you believe Lance Heard is the best offensive player in the 2023 crop for LSU? Just by the recruiting ranking, he is by far the highest ranked player in this cycle. And he did the opposite of what happened to Shelton Sampson. Shelton Sampson had a decent slide when it comes to his raw recruiting ranking, and Lance Heard had an ascent unlike anybody else we've seen at LSU. He was, just a few years ago, a middle-tier 4-star. Now, he's about as elite of a 5-star player as you are going to find. Now, for those that really know their recruiting, you know in the background, this is actually Lance Heard's junior tape, because as a junior, he played right tackle because Will Campbell is the starting left tackle for Neville. Now, when Will Campbell went to LSU, he obviously started at left tackle at LSU, and Lance Heard made the move to right tackle. Actually, I didn't say that right. From right tackle to left tackle. So today we decided to dig deep and get our final evaluation of Lance in. Did he improve as a senior? And the answer to that is actually kind of complicated in my mind. So let's get to it. Let's go. Looking at you, yes, you right now. So you guys know we like to get down and dirty and deep. That didn't sound smooth at all, but I want you to remember this. This is a defensive end from Ruston. Just keep that in mind. And obviously, there are so many different ways you can help grow the PHL movement, right? We got plenty of merch, powerhourlsu.com. You can join our Patreon. We are growing there, where you get a private Discord. Right now, my final grade on Shelton Sampson and Lance Heard is on Patreon, and you can see how they compare to other elite LSU prospect grades that I've had. So make sure you check all of that out. And once again, I want you to remember that Ruston Bearcat helmet. Now, before we actually look at some of Lance Heard's senior tape, let me start off by saying something that really impressed me about him, right? Now, once again, I know I'll get accused for this. This happens a lot when I actually interview people. Some of you think my evaluations change because I know some of these prospects or I interview some of them. I'm going to be as honest as I possibly can. I try to be as subjective with my analysis, so feel free to check me if you think I am wrong on something. That's the point of this comment section. I'm never going to just bite your head off for an opinion that might be different than mine, okay? So, as you can see, Lance got beat to the inside right there. Nice little swim move by 12, who was just dominated by him a few reps ago. But what I'll say about Lance is, in these camp settings, he's dominated people, right? What you're looking at here is an excerpt from On3, who said Lance Heard was by far the best tackle at the Under Armour All-American game. Now, think about that, right? The Under Armour All-American game is the best of the best of the best players in the country, and this writer from On3 says Lance was by far the best, and something to keep in mind was this was a very deep edge class, right? So, he went up against a lot of really good players, and once again, that's just one writer, but for that On3 writer to say that he was by far the best really shows me something, that Lance is not afraid to go up against the best of the best and perform at a high level. When I interviewed him, his confidence, obviously he clarified those Will Campbell comments. We'll get to that in a second as well with us. Also, just a side note, he prefers to just be called Lance instead of Lance. This rep I thought was very interesting. Sometimes when I watch Lance, his technique can get a little off, especially against smaller players. You see him, he gets crossed up right there. you never want to be in this position as an offensive tackle where you're just chasing somebody. But one thing that I've always seen when evaluating Lance is his ability to, and Will Campbell was the absolute best at this when evaluating him as a high school player. When Will gets beat, he does a good job getting back into the rep and not giving up. You see Lance right here. He gets juked to the inside, but look at how he resets. That is just freak athleticism, folks. I mean, a lot of offensive tackles would have just fell. He was able to reset and still dominate the rep. Still, you don't want to get in that position where you're getting off balance. And here's Lance, once again, getting beat a little to the inside, but that wasn't the absolute worst rep either.
Not really. Yeah. So you go to these all-star games. I believe next year, okay, you should get a pass for a touchdown. What was that like catching a touchdown?
That was great. I mean, it's the offensive line's dream.
Right.
It was awesome. But, like, I not only have I played defense, I played tight end, too. People
Oh, really?
know that. Yeah.
So I played that clip also to show you he played in the Army All-American game as well. So he played in both of the big all-star games. And what you're looking at is a rep from the Under Armour game itself. And as you can see, even though there was a sack, he absolutely dominated his man on the play. So, Lance, as far as his senior tape is concerned in high school, he really didn't post a whole lot of clips on Huddle. And a lot of players do that, honestly. What else do you have to prove? I mean, you're already going to LSU. There's no other tape that you need to post. So this was the only clip on his Huddle from his senior season. And you see him in the top right corner of your screen. You see a lot of this from Lance, just driving people completely out of the picture. That is just nasty, and there is a whole lot of that. So this was really good stuff right here from On 3. We get pretty much a full game's reps. Lance Hurd going up against Huntington, a school in North Louisiana, and he is just dominant from start to finish. Now, once again, this isn't the same level of competition from the Under Armour All-American game or the Army All-American game, but you just see him just waxing people throughout this entire clip, okay? This was just nasty. But you'll see right here coming up that he does get beat on this rep. And one thing I will say is he does have a tendency to lean some. And what that means is, as an offensive lineman, you don't just want to lean and lose your balance, right? Because people are just going to olay you and just swim over the top. And that's exactly what happens here. This is the only negative rep of the whole day, and we were still able to get a completion out of it. So, yeah, right here, you don't just want to, lean on guys because you can lose your balance. But then again, he is a 6'4" specimen, right? When you're going up against smaller guys, it's tough to have consistently low pad level. It's really, really, really hard. I love these high school things. I see London. I see France. I see Huntington without a chance. That's funny. But, outside of that one rep, this is just nasty offensive tackle play from start to finish. And one thing you'll notice, and Pierce, one of our sharpest viewers, was at the hangout with Lance Hurd at the Arklatex card show. He was there for the interview and everything. And he said the freakish thing about him is he's built like an NBA player, right? He doesn't have the biggest base in the world, right? On 3 calls him high-hipped, if you will. His base is relatively slender. He is not built like most elite offensive tackle prospects. Just to show you how lean he is for being over 300 pounds, I brought shirts for everyone at the Arklatex card show, and I gave one to Lance, and I made sure to bring a 4X shirt, but he wears 2X, right? Because he's not sloppy at all. He is very lean. Now, he's going to get bigger. I know that sounds crazy, but his frame is going to change some at the collegiate level. But, man, he is truly a differently special built one-of-one kind of player. And that excites me, right? It is a new frontier, if you will. There's not many people that walk around like Lance Hurd. So that excites me as well because the upside, he could get even better with some of the raw ability that he has. Right there, getting a very good pass rush rep to help spring that deep touchdown pass. It's jaw-dropping, to be quite honest. And there he is finishing another Huntington player. So this is just throughout, this YouTube video, and I like that. I like raw, unedited clips. I don't just want to see the good reps. I want to see the reps where you struggle as well. And as you can see, On 3 didn't just take out the bad reps. They put the good and the bad throughout this. And the thing is there's just not a whole lot of bad here. And look, it's easy to just rest on your laurels when you go up against far inferior talent like this, but that's not what he did. You could see he still goes out there, plays with his hair on fire, and he just loves to finish people, which is a very good thing to see. Alrighty, let's get to what I really want to spend some time on today, and that's Lance Hurd going up against Ruston. Remember the R on the helmet? This was a game that I had circled for a few reasons. Number one, Ruston is back to where they need to be, right? They're a very proud football program, and they're coached by LSU legend Kyle Williams on the defensive side. So here he is going up against Jordan Guidry, a 4-star, or I would guess he would eventually be rated a 4-star defensive end out of Ruston and a player. So let's take a look at a few of these reps going up against a other Division I football player. So we're going to go ahead and run this rep, and this was actually not bad, but it could have been better, okay? So normally, in clear passing situations, a lot of offensive linemen are taught to be in a 2-point stance, but Neville elects to be in a 3-point stance, which means his hand is in the dirt, going up against a defensive end in a 4-point stance. So rarely do you see ends in a 4-point. A lot of times it's going to be a 3-point versus a 2-point. So that does change things just a little bit here. So let's see how this rep actually unfolds. We get a very good, step here. You look at how quickly Lance is able to get out of the stance. Boom. Okay. So we're man on man right here. And right here is where the mistake was made. Okay. As a defensive end, you could tell Kyle Williams is just a really good coach. It makes sense. He's one of the best defensive linemen ever at LSU. As a defensive end, you don't want to keep running upfield. You want to stop and retrace your steps when you get even with the quarterback. And 91 does a really good job here of retracing his steps and going back to the inside. Where Lance made the mistake here is you want to ride this guy all the way upfield and not let him retrace his steps. We don't want the defensive end to dictate terms here, and we kind of let him right here. Okay, we don't want to get chasey, if you will, losing our technique. We want to get in him and ride him all the way up. Pause. But we allow him to retrace. This isn't the worst rep. The right tackle actually got beat pretty bad, which is what forced his quarterback to bail. So yeah, that's something that will get worked on as he gets to the next level. Now, right here, it looks like this is Lance Hurd's fault. His job right there was a down block. The tight end was the one who missed his block right there. We move along here to the next rep. Let's see here. Once again, that's not on Lance. That's actually a nasty rep to get to the second level right there. Let's see. Oh, this is just really good stuff. Okay. This is just honestly a perfect rep from Lance on this one. So he is down blocking this end, and your job is to get inside of this guy and shield him going back this way. And watch Lance do this. It's just nasty. So he gets him. You see how he turns him to the inside? Perfect. A better running back will hit this hole, and we're off to the races. And because we missed a block here as well, Lance did his job. It's just nasty. This was also very impressive. We're running a screen out here to the left. So we swipe him to get him going upfield, and now we got to block this guy, a smaller player out in space, and 22 has an advantage, right? He could beat Lance Hurd going whichever way. Now, for some reason, 52 allowed this guy to go unblocked, but if we were able to get a piece of him, look at how well this was blocked in space. That is excellent. Okay, that would have been at least a third down conversion, or somewhere we could have gone for it on fourth. And you'll see it again, right? Swipe this guy, let him go, and now we got to find the small guy in space to block him. That's tough. That's just really, really good stuff. Good play by Six, but still, it's superb. And this is, once again, Six blowing up the play. They left him unblocked. Get a lucky deflection for a big completion, but we're focusing here on Lance. Okay, here he is going up against 91 again, and this time he doesn't allow 91 to retrace his steps. You'll see it a lot better from this end zone angle. 6 is left unblocked for whatever reason, and he blows this up. I think 29 should have picked him up, but obviously the focus should be on Lance. Look at this. He gets out of his stance, and watch this. 91 tries to retrace his steps like he did it a minute ago. He can't because, well, we're dominating him now. It's just good stuff. It really, really is some special stuff right there. Bah! Looking at you again. Give me some energy in the comment section. Let me know if you think Lance Hurd is the best offensive player in this cycle. We did our Shelton Sampson breakdown. That video will be floating in your face in just a second. And we're going to try and get to as many high school players as we possibly can because, like I always say, your final evaluation can't really be done until you get your hands on some senior tape. And I decided to focus on that Ruston game. And I looked at a few other games, and it takes a while to get as much footage as you can. And the truth is, Lance is just a very good player. Now, where does he rank compared to Will Campbell and Emery Jones? Well, the good news is you can go to patreon.com/LSU Football and see my actual final grades and how Lance's grade compares to those two. Now, what I will say is the big question is, will Lance Hurd start as a true freshman? Now, the first thing that you have to bring up is he is not an early enrollee. In fact, all 4 of the offensive linemen that LSU signed this cycle are not early enrollees. LSU does have 15-ish early enrollees signed up ready to go, and Lance Hurd is not one of them. Now, that doesn't mean he won't be ready to go as a true freshman because, number one, you have the weight program and everything that they tell you to work on already. Of course, you would prefer him to be an early enrollee, but it's not the be-all, end-all because, obviously, last year, Harold Perkins and Emery Jones were not early enrollee players. So, for me, it's not the be-all, end-all. I still think he will play as a true freshman. Now, ironically, on this rep in the background, he actually does get beat here. But, the good thing about, playing at Neville is you do go up against good athletes. But for the most part, in these one-on-one settings, I don't like one-on-one pass rush drills too much. I don't think they are game-like enough. This is a little bit better because the players do have pads on. But for the most part, I try not to take too much away from anything. I try to get my evaluation from this and, all-star game footage, recruiting rankings, and all of that. And this guy is going to be a very good player at LSU. I don't think this is a Cardell Thomas situation where a guy is coming in with a bunch of hype. His game footage is actually really freaking good. He is a dominant player with the mean streak, a great attitude. And look, interviewing him and getting to know him a little bit obviously helps his evaluation here for me. But the truth is, even if I never met Lance Hurd, he looks really good. And you could tell he puts a lot of work into his craft. And if he continues to do that, he will go down as a future NFL draft pick for LSU. So, yes, I do think by the end of next year, you will be looking at Lance Hurd starting somewhere on the offensive line. How exactly that looks, I don't know. Maybe you move Emery Jones to right guard and him at right tackle. I will address the Will Campbell thing, and we talked quite a bit about his Will Campbell comments in the interview. That video will be floating in your face in just a second. It wasn't a shot at Will. It was more so just him being confident and competitive with Will Campbell. Once again, the full interview will be floating in your face as well in just a second. A lot of you have already seen it. But I do think Lance will be a right tackle next year for LSU. And I think Will stay at left tackle. I don't think he starts game one at right tackle. Obviously, Tyree Adams has a lot to say about that as well. He's also a very talented player coming in from St. Aug, a football power. But, man, I can't wait to see Lance challenge for a starter's role next year. So, comment down below your thoughts on today's video. We will continue with our high school breakdowns as time moves on. We're going to try and get to as many players as we possibly can, and hope you enjoyed this video today. It is... Still got a little bit of a cough. It is Power Hour LSU. Bam! And tonight, we're doing steaks. Night 2. Let's go.